Well, hello and welcome back to Washington County Public Schools. And this is the alumni edition of What's Up, Doc? All of you have had some chance to be here before. And we thought, since you have now matriculated onto college or university life, that this would be a great chance to have a conversation with you and ask you some questions about your experience here in Washington County, and perhaps more importantly, how those experiences are impacting your life now as a college student. So I really want to begin this conversation and let you talk to each other, but talk to me, and begin by saying, what do you remember most about your time here in Washington County? What are the things that kind of stood out in your life as a student in Washington County? And Katrina, would you be willing to start this conversation?
Sure. I'm Katrina Bushko. I'm a junior at Princeton University currently. I am majoring in philosophy, and I'm getting minors in Arabic and Near Eastern Studies, and I went to Boonesboro High School. My best memory was being president of the Washington County Association of Student Councils. SGA was a big part of my life, all 4 years of high school, but especially in senior year, and it really struck a chord with me because it developed leadership skills that allowed me to stand out from my peers and really just meet a lot of new people that were very much like me. So SGA was one of my best memories, and also all county orchestra. I played the violin, so that was also another community bonding kind of thing that I really, really loved during high school. So
That's outstanding. So Princeton.
Yes.
I would say, when you were looking for colleges, was Princeton one of your top choices?
Yeah, it was my number one choice.
And your number one choice, and you got in?
Yep.
Outstanding.
Yep.
Who else had some things that they'd like to talk about?
Well, I'd like to agree with Katrina. My senior year, I was also the president of Washington County Association of Student Councils, and it definitely did help me a lot with, I guess, making it easier to talk to new people and engaging with everyone, and all the clubs at Maryland. I go to the University of Maryland, so it was easier to go to all. We have this big thing called the First Look Fair, and on our mall we have all of the clubs set up. They're just set up a table and explain their club and everything. So just with my involvement in SGA in high school, it helped me go around and see what what most was similar to my interests in high school, and went around to all the clubs, and I could easily talk to the people who are at their little stands and ask them oh, so what's your club about? And oh, I did this in high school. Is this similar to what I did in high school at all? And so it kind of helped me find out what I was most comfortable with and what the clubs and organizations at Maryland seemed most interesting to me.
Are you finding Maryland the place that you wanted to be?
Yeah, actually, it wasn't actually my first choice school, and now after my first semester, I found it being exactly where I want to be. So
Outstanding. That's great. John, how about you?
My favorite memory of high school was being in Key Club. And Key Club is an organization where you help other people with needs and canned food drops and stuff like that. So that experience through my senior year really helped me interact with more people, meet new people, and help me to be a better person. And in college, you're going to meet a lot of different people. So just being able to interact with those type of people with different views and viewpoints, it really helped me. And so I can't thank.
And John, where are you now?
I go to Indiana University of Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and I major in communications and media.
The other IU.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Not the basketball school
No,
IU.
no.
All right. The academic institution. Outstanding. Umar, how about you?
My high school experience was great, entirely. I could say that I was able to balance my social life and my academic life very well, and that transitioned smoothly to college as well, as I go to Syracuse University now, and I'm able to focus as much as I need on my academics to remain on the dean's list, but at the same time I'm able to enjoy my time in college as well, and I think that's the biggest thing, because when you go to college, you're preparing yourself for if it's medical school or whatever you want to do after college, but at the same time, I feel like it's important to enjoy the ride. And I can confidently say I definitely enjoyed my ride through high school, and I made it through high school as, I tried my best and I got as far as I could, and I expect to do that in college as well. So that's what I got from high school.
Lauren, how about you?
Well, I think high school, I went to Boonesboro High School my first 2 years, and then I transferred over to Tech High for my next 2 years, and I think that was really cool. And I was almost hesitant to do so at first because obviously when you think of a Tech High, you think of like you don't move on to college afterwards. That's mostly like back in the day what they used to think. Well, I went for the cosmetology program, and being at Boonesboro the first 2 years really prepared me, like communication skills, all academics and stuff like that, to move on to that and still be able to do cosmetology and academics. So you were able to balance the two and still move on to college afterwards. And so I really enjoyed both schools, none more than the other. And then I now moved on to HCC for a year and a half, or almost 2 years, I guess. And then I'm moving on to McDaniel for my last 2 years.
Okay, outstanding. And what are you pursuing then in McDaniel? What do you think you'll do there?
Business, but I'm trying to, I'm majoring in business, but have a minor in marketing and fashion. So I'm using that to kind of combine, and I'm going to use that in my future.
Okay, outstanding.
Yeah.
Sydney, can I come back over here to you?
Yeah. I find myself missing out of Washington County kind of the small town aspects within everything I did. Like SGA, I got the chance to meet a lot of people and get a lot of close ties. In volleyball, I knew a lot of the girls from different schools. So that part of high school I miss a lot because now that I'm in New York, I don't really get the close ties anymore. It's hard to get out there because it's New York City. So.
And Sydney, where are you right now?
I'm in New York City. I go to Baruch College in Manhattan. So, yeah, it's a big difference from here, but I like it. I like it in New York too, but I just miss the, the opportunity to meet everyone within all your interests, and it's just hard to at my school. So.
Abdul, I think the last time we saw you, it was on Facebook. You were posting a graduation video piece. It was pretty cool. So it's good to see you again. What do you remember about high school?
I think it was just the range of opportunities, I guess you could say. Like, I was involved in so many extracurriculars and after-school things, and just classes were so difficult and whatever that I had no time to do anything but sleep. And now I have no time even to sleep. There's just even more out there. And I think that was good to have so many different activities available. I know just the Board of Ed and other SGAs and everything of that nature occupied time. Now I think there's a difficult transition, though, to finding what you really want to do, though, especially because high school throws so many things at you, so many required courses and everything. You don't know the exact direction you want to get into, and I guess that's what I've been struggling with right now, because my course load is even worse than it was in high school. It's much more eclectic now.
Okay. You guys, each of you talked about, something that was positive, but you also have this kind of forward-looking attitude about college and university life and, kind of future plans. Let me ask you to kind of step back a little bit and put yourself back in the academic role at high school. What were your favorite classes, and what made those classes stand out as a favorite? I might even ask you, like, are you pursuing that now in college, or is that maybe leading your direction? And I'm going to kind of begin with you because you kind of led me down this path saying that you're having a hard time choosing. So what were your favorites here, and are you still pursuing them, and, some of these other questions?
I think my problem was that I enjoyed everything. I had good teachers in all my subjects. They were all very, very interesting. I know biology was amazing to me. Statistics, I had a great teacher. And I kind of took a statistics-ish class, but that was like interdisciplinary with something in economics this past semester, and then I took like genetics and evolution on one hand. So it's everything I was taking back then, basically every subject field, but more concentrated now.
Okay. So let me put you on the spot. What was your favorite class in Washington County in high school? What was the favorite class you took? Not necessarily favorite teacher, favorite class.
I think philosophy. Because of the discussions with our students in that class. Okay.
Okay. How about somebody else?
My favorite class was my AP Lang class at South High, and I would also give great credit to the teacher that I had there. And I say that because it was a lot of writing, like a writing-based class, but it was much more. There was a teacher that I have. It allowed us to be creative in our own writing, and would give us something to work on, like a template or something. Or there was no template, but there was a objective. Like there was just simply an objective, and he allowed us to open up our own perspectives and see however we wanted to write. And he would just like critique our writing. And I was never like I wasn't always a good writer, and I feel like he definitely helped me, got me through the AP test, got my credits, and that way of writing intrigued me and led me to take a creative writing course at Syracuse, and I enjoyed that as well. Got an A, and I remembered a lot from what he was teaching me there, and I also plan to take further classes in writing. So I would definitely say AP Lang was my favorite class.
AP Lang, okay. How about someone else?
Mine? Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Are you sure?
You guys are way too polite. Go ahead.
I know. My favorite class was definitely world history.
Okay.
Because I just love hearing about all that different kinds of stuff. I love learning about it, and I love seeing the change from then to now. You know what I mean? Like, I just think the teacher I had made it really interesting and really fun, and kind of put her own twist into it. It was great.
Terrific. Katrina, you
Going on the social science path, I really loved my AP government class, not only because my teacher was wonderful and my class was very small, and so we got to have very like intimate discussions about abortion debates and and like the death penalty and stuff like that. So it was like that was the closest I got to like ethics in philosophy, and I wish I was offered a philosophy class in high school. That would have prepared me a lot for my major now. But my AP government class, it was really great because we just had the class discussions, and it prepared me for the Princeton has this precept system. So like after obviously if you take a big lecture, you don't have any one-on-one time to discuss with anyone. So we have this extra like class period that that you just get to have like 15 of your peers and just talk about what you did in lecture, and so that it really prepared me for that, and I was really thankful that I got that opportunity. So.
Okay. John, how about you?
Well, my favorite class was AP Literature, and my teacher really helped me with my writing skills and developing them, because I had never really been a great writer. I kind of just gone through the motion and didn't really know some of the sort of techniques to get through, to actually write a proper paper. So we read multiple books about really great books like The Great Gatsby and other books, and it just really broadened my perspective on how to write. And she made us talk about it critically. Like, she just wouldn't like give us the answer to a question. She would like talk amongst ourselves, then we'll come back. So that type of thinking, it helps you further, your understanding of the book and how to write when you actually write the paper. So I have to give a lot of credit to that teacher and that class, because I was really excited I was taking that class, and it just helped me, further my writing skills in college.
I don't want to cut you off from this conversation, but one of the common things that I'm hearing right now is the classes that you got to engage with other students in, the classes where teachers weren't so focused on the content but let the content bubble up, seems to be coming through here as something that was really engaging to you. Is that something you're finding that not only helps you in college, but is that a common denominator for all of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Let's see. How about a couple of, you didn't get a comment on favorite subjects. Sydney, do you have something that you like?
Personally, I'm interested in psychology. That's one of the subjects that I like the most. But honestly, in high school, I really enjoyed my AP Lang class. And I'm not really an English type of person, but like you said, she was very open to discussions within the class, and she wasn't so focused on, getting particular tasks done, but just letting us, talk about our writing and what we read. And I like that atmosphere within the class better than, strict guidelines, and it just helped me focus more and participate. So I did really well in that class, and I don't really like English, so I thought that was cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many of you think that those type of classes prepared you well for college?
Not only in that subject as well. Like it just helps you in general because it lets your mind like expand and opens it to a lot more. Like I was in an English class, but we were talking about lots of different things. That's why a philosophy or ethics class, like I also wish I had that at my disposal in high school. But it steps you away from what you have to do and lets your mind open to lots of different things, and it's just a different way of thinking. Like,
do you find that your college classes aren't so much about rote learning, but rather about building upon ideas and thoughts? Is that what you're seeing at your college courses?
For some of them, yeah. For some of them.
Well, tell me one that isn't. I mean,
some of the science classes, it's not really much of like opening up.
Science, math.
All of that.
Yeah.
It's not really like, what do you think? It's just they tell you and you have
How it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's science. But like I had a creative writing class, and it was creative writing. Like we were able to write in ways that we wanted. And like again, there was no template, no 5-paragraph thing. It was just how you feel about it, which points you want to focus on the most, and give me what you got.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hadn't had that experience through AP Lang, I feel like it would have been very narrow-minded, or just like a general type of ideas that lots of people would have had. But because of my class, I'm able to take different routes,
okay.
see different perspectives.
Bridget, I
Yeah.
keep cutting you off. What do you think?
I was about to say, like, I know at Maryland we have, at least like for me, I'm in the honors program, and we're required to take a certain number of like honors seminar classes, and it's this type of class that is usually a smaller group. I know I took one, it was called Darwin's Dangerous Idea, and it was 15 kids, and we pretty much we sat around in a circle and we had just discussion, and it was a lot of meta-analysis, a lot of a different kind of thinking like we were mentioning earlier, and it's those types of classes that kind of provoke a different way of thinking rather than just learning, and I think that was a nice balance between the science and the like the English and just like the more learning classes, and then versus the classes where you're more provoked to think differently. And I think that's something that a lot of schools are starting to do now too, where they have more of a balance of more of the psychology, philosophy, different kinds of thinking classes incorporated with the classes of like your basic gen ed kind of like core learning classes. So that was something that I appreciate being in the honors college, especially that I get kind of this balance, which I saw in high school too. Being in the IB program, we had theory of knowledge, and a lot of students I know took philosophy with the same teacher at our school. So it kind of had the same different type of thinking, and IB definitely helped me think in that way too. So in college, you see the same kind of, you go along the same learning path.
So for most of you, it's your AP classes or your high-end classes in high school that you find have the most carryover to how you're learning in college. But let me push back a little bit and say, how about the classes that some of you you kind of bristled at when we talked about science classes? You know, there is one right answer. How many kinds of classes like that are you taking right now as, say, a freshman or a junior or sophomore in college? How many classes are you taking in your college curriculum that don't involve all that kind of discussion? And help me with that a little.
Last semester I took an art class, just an art history class, because it had to come over for my major and stuff like that. So I took that, and that was really cool because, like she said, it was mostly like you saw like a painting and then you would converse, because with art it's more or less your opinion and how you see it. So I thought that was really cool because it helped you learn, because once you hear everyone's opinion, it just kind of all builds together to make that one full answer. And then I took a public speaking course, which at first I was terrified about because obviously it's public speaking. But it actually was really cool, and it really prepared me for everything. You know what I mean? Once you really learn how to public speak and stuff like that, it helps you in all areas.
To express your ideas when
Yeah.
you form an opinion. Great.
So yeah, so those are like the classes that weren't like science or math, stuff like that.
Katrina, I kind of got the sense that you maybe had some of the strongest opinions about some of this, so help us with that.
Well, out of now 3 years of college, I have taken two classes that are required that are just like rote memorization. Right now I'm in a microbiology class that is basically just memorize how the cell functions, how it goes through everything, and there's really, although I will say that it is the introductory class, and I know that upper level biology classes actually do have like discussions, and they have to, like figure out how everything works in its own way. It's not just memorization. And then I did take an astrophysics class my freshman year that was just a lot of memorization. But like everything else, I've taken tons of philosophy classes that have just been almost completely discussion based, and
Do you write a lot?
Probably not as much as English majors, surprisingly. I definitely don't read as much, but the reading that I do is a lot more in depth. So, but I've also taken a lot of language classes, which are much more discussion based. So, yeah.
Okay. Abdul, how about you? I know you're here at Duke.
A comment really about the reading and writing. I feel that was what was lacking from my high school experience. 'Cause I enjoyed AP Lit and AP Lang, but they weren't focused on academic writing. And this past semester, being flooded with at least 80 pages worth of assignments was a big change for me. And also, I think reading, I took one philosophy-ish course. The writing course was entitled, What is Anarchism? And it was about reading, we had to read, I don't know if you're familiar with Proudhon and Kropotkin. These people don't make sense. Or they do, but you have to like look, and I was not prepared for that at all. I'd never seen anything like that. And I think it was the first in my life I actually used a highlighter for something. So I guess that's just the negative side, I think, of the high school experience, although there was encouragement with books and everything like that. I would have to say, like, when it comes to sciences, though, at least the feeling that I'm getting in the one or two that I've taken so far is that it's like when you're learning to write, you're like learning the letters first, and that's kind of memorization, and then you kind of formulate your own ideas. So where I was, there was, like, we talked in one of my science classes about some big debate that scientists were having, and that was something really interesting, but it's not until you get to the third or fourth level of the science class that you'll actually get to that.
Okay. Do you feel that you have the basic knowledge when you leave Washington County in terms of like the sciences or the math courses, or even the social studies and government courses, to engage and to play on a level field with other students?
I think
I've seen a lot of head nodding, but yes.
Like, for me, I think it was a lot different because I went to a tech school, and I didn't really experience all of what I could have experienced. It was really tough, like, going into college, not having that full-on, like, academic, like every day, you know what I mean? That it was hard, that I didn't get as much of, like, advanced schooling as I could have, but, I mean, that was my decision to go. But I think tech could almost make that more apparent, you know what I mean? They could, like, because they should be enforcing, like, you should go to college afterwards, or at least consider it, you know what I mean? So I think, like, with stuff like that, it was tough to go into college right after school without having all of that knowledge, but maybe that's just because I went to a tech school.
Okay. So
I was just going to say, like, I found it a lot easier after taking, like, IB Bio, for example, where I had to write 15, 20-page bio reports and for our IAs. And then we would have maybe a week to write a lab report in my Bio 105 class. So I found it a lot easier because we were prepared beforehand to write lengthy, extensive reports, and our reports weren't even, like, our reports are probably 4 pages long, so it was, like, completely different, and I learned how to, like, condense a lot easier, and it made things a lot more simple for me, being challenged in high school to, I guess, now I have to reduce my writing, and it's a little bit different of kind of writing, and I also, like, realized that in college, there's so many different types of writing, too. Like, in my honors seminar, for example, there's we had to write a philosophy style paper. So you have to write like an introduction, and then you have to like say what you're going to do, which I never had to do in like my other papers. I didn't say like, in this paper I'm going to write, because everyone told you weren't supposed to write like that. But like, I don't know, there's different styles of writing. Like in English, I wouldn't do that. I would just go straight into it. So you just have to learn like the different types of writing. And I feel like in Washington County, in my IB English class, for example, that prepared me for English in college. But as for like writing the philosophy style paper, I wasn't prepared for that, and so that was something I kind of had to gauge and learn myself when I was in college. So I guess that's kind of the difference between like learning from Washington County how to write, in at least the classes that I took. And
so we have students from a variety of institutions, and what I'm hearing is, if you put the hours into your high school, if you took the courses that were challenging, you feel you're able to compete with anybody in the world.
Yes.
So now I'm going to pick on you a little bit. Here you are in arguably the most vibrant city in America. What do you think? I mean, are you prepared to live and work in a city like that based on your education here?
I think living in New York City has a lot to do with, personality too. I mean, I feel like I got my basic knowledge from Greensboro, but there's so much more opportunity and it's so different. Like, it's a culture shock going to New York City. And I took a lot of classes not a lot, I took a few classes my first semester as a freshman that I had no idea what they were even about. Like, anthropology, I was like, what? I've never even heard of this. And I just took a philosophy course also, and we didn't have that available at Greensboro. So I'm being like, opened up to a lot of different worlds, and just walking around in the city, it's just so.
Do you have the study skills to make you successful in those courses like anthropology, though? I mean,
yeah, I think if anyone applies themselves, I think anyone could, be successful anywhere, but it's the fact of, are you going to apply yourself and want to, be successful.
Okay.
So.
Umar, how about you?
I
Can
think
you compete at Syracuse?
I definitely think I can compete at Syracuse. I think that Washington County forms quite a strong foundation for a student coming out of high school to enter a college institution and, as you said, compete with anybody in there. Although it's lots of people, like wherever you are, Boonesboro, even South, or any high school that you're at, you're not going to be exposed to as much diversity as you would at a college campus. And as far as academics go, Washington County will create a foundation, but people skills and interacting with different people, real life situations, when you join extracurricular activities in high school, like John said, Key Club helps a lot, and those types of people skills. But once you're in college, you have a little bit more freedom and less boundaries to, if you really want to do something, you can go out and personally make it happen yourself. And given that responsibility, I feel that's what separates you from succeeding in, like, not only academics but in life. So as far as Washington County's foundation and academics go, as she said, if you apply yourself coming out of Washington County, there's no reason you can't compete with anybody at Duke, Maryland, Princeton, wherever you go. So that's great about Washington County.
Do you guys think that most of your high school classmates, I mean, you guys are really a bit of the rare air in some ways. I mean, when you think about the colleges and universities that you are at or aspiring to go to, do you think that most of your contemporaries, your high school contemporaries, are as prepared as you were?
No.
No?
I don't think that sometimes it's enforced of, like, being so set on school. I think there's a lot of different, I don't know, I just think that some people just aren't as wanting to go as far as others.
Do we not do a good job in terms of motivating and inspiring kids to go to college, or is it?
No, I think you guys do. I think absolutely. I just think it's the person itself. I think that they have to take the leap, and I think just like some people don't. I don't think it's Washington County at all.
Katrina, you look like you
I
have
would
a little
actually
different
disagree.
opinion.
You think so?
Yeah, because my sister, she's a senior this year at Boonesboro, and her graduating class, I would not want to be a part of it because they are very competitive. And I know many kids who like applied early to colleges. My sister is now going to go to Johns Hopkins University, and there's one of her friends is actually got into Princeton. So there are like many kids of her class that like actually took that initiative to apply early to schools, and even if they didn't, they're going to apply to these like top schools, and whereas I was the only person in my graduating class that applied to more than one Ivy League. So I would actually think that Washington County schools are doing a good job of giving the opportunity to students to look at what college offers and like what they need to look for in a school. But I think it's honestly the kids themselves who are like trying to better themselves in looking to where they want to go. So
I think this question is like kind of based off of personal experience, because my brother is not the most motivated child in the world, and I feel like I started off in high school taking honors courses, so I felt like I was already previously motivated and I was already thinking about college, but he's not really thinking about college, and he's not in these honors courses, and I don't know what it is and why he's not finding motivation, and I see it in his friends too, because they're all in the same classes obviously, but I don't know if it's because I feel like in honors courses it's a different atmosphere than in, I really do, because
you must get a better,
I just feel like teachers are, I'm
more
not
motivated
for
to teach
every
you better.
teacher, but I just feel like they're more, eager to teach you than, a normal course, because these kids don't necessarily care, and I don't know how to make them care, but, I don't know what's wrong, but it's just...
John, what do you think? Well, we've kept you from eating your pizza, but what do you think? I mean, you were motivated to go on to college, so...
I personally, for me, I was motivated because my parents instilled in me I was going to college at a very young age, so that was always in my mind. But personally, for me, when I got into high school, I wasn't, like you said, I wasn't the most motivated student to do my work. So, but I had teachers that really pushed me and said, you can do better, and I did, and then I got the motivation over time. Like, I really learned that, I have to do this work. So I think it's a fine line between the teacher and the student, because the student has to want to learn and the teacher has to want to teach them. So you can't teach them something. You can't teach someone something that they don't want to learn, especially if it's stuck in their mind. So I think teachers and students, it's a fine line between coming together and reaching that compromise, to achieve both of their goals. Like, I want to go to college, and the teacher, like, I have to teach the student something, and not, in an antagonizing way. Because teachers and students, I think, sometimes get it mixed up, with their wrong tone or, how they teach it, because everybody learns differently. So I think, teachers and students just need to come to that, that medium where they can both coexist and, get the work done and achieve both their goals.
So let me ask you this. Let's talk about teachers for 1 second, okay? Mm-hmm. In a word, what makes a great teacher? So think back to your experience. In a word, what makes a great teacher? Abdul, do you want to start us?
If you want one word, I would just say they teach. Because I feel like there's the imparting of information, which is what a lot of people do. And then there's that where they actually love what they're doing, they care about the subject, and they want to see that everyone takes this information, actually applies it whenever they're doing.
Okay.
I would say learn, because teachers not only have to teach, but they also have to learn after they teach. They have to gauge from their experiences after teaching something to their students, like what works and what doesn't. And then they have to build maybe like next year's curriculum off of that or something. They have to, I know, like...
maybe the next day's curriculum.
Next day's curriculum. They really like have to evaluate constantly like how they're doing, because every, like he said, every student is different, everyone learns a different way, and they have to know how to target each of their students individually, but also all together. And I guess it's unique for every class too, so they have to definitely learn and evaluate themselves.
In a word, can you do it, Katrina?
I would say inspirational, probably because it's you. I think a teacher not only wants to, like you said, impart information, but make sure that it's something that the student wants to be engaged in, wants to learn about, and just wants to have like more knowledge on a subject. So that's like, I know I took honors chemistry in 10th grade, and my teacher was very inspirational. I'd never thought I would be into chemistry, but then he was that inspirational teacher that motivated me to take AP chemistry. That was a whole different ball field, but like the fact that he was that good that made me want to learn more about chemistry, like that's what I see a good teacher in. So,
What do you think?
I would say, open or open-minded, because just going off what Bridget said, I think that especially with the older teachers now, that with new kids coming in, there's new ideas, and they just have to be, willing to change the curriculum based off of the new class and not so stuck on the same old ways. And I feel like that makes the classroom atmosphere so much better when teachers are willing to, kind of adjust to the needs of the student also.
You think it's important that the teachers that teach you actually like the kids?
yeah.
It helps.
Yes.
Helps a lot, yeah.
I don't say that flippantly. What I really mean, and I think it's trying to build off of the point that several of you made, is that I think people who like kids are more willing to impart what they know and try to inspire. So each of you probably have a teacher that you want to say something to. We're going to give you an opportunity to do that a little bit later, whether they were a teacher that you had 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe even somebody who saw something in you that you didn't even see in yourself recently. We want to give you that opportunity, but before we do that, I want to ask each of you to, concisely say, if you could go back and do your junior and senior year again, what might you do differently, or what would you absolutely do the same way? Because I think that will serve as an exemplar to others who watch this show later about what they need to be thinking about or doing. So I'll let one of you just kind of blurt out, and then I'll let the rest of you kind of follow. But what I would hope you would do is keep it concise, keep it tight. What would you absolutely keep the same or do differently in your junior and senior years?
I would still go to tech, but because I love what I do as a job, being a hairstylist, it has really benefited from me. It's shown me a lot of personal skills that I didn't even know I had. But I would have taken the academics more seriously, because I got there and I was so excited about being able to do hair, being able to take that every other day and not be an academic. So I was kind of more focused on that than academics. And I think if I was more like, this is what really matters in the big picture, because like being academics, because then I wouldn't be struggling in some of my classes at college. Not that I'm struggling, it's just like I wish I would have been more like on the ball about knowing it, because I know I was taught it, but it's just tough when you're distracted, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Just be focused on both, be dedicated to both, but academics is what you're going to be using when, and more things than cosmetology.
Okay. Umar, I think you were going to say something too.
Yes. What I wouldn't change is, like I said earlier, the balance, in that I was able to attend games, be a part of lots of extracurriculars, and also push myself to take as many AP courses as I could. That balance really, I feel like, created a character in me that I'm glad that I am. Like, it makes me comfortable with who I am. But what I would change is the amount I read in all my classes, like an AP biology or any other class, because everywhere I've gone, like in every class that I've taken in college so far, I can't say that I haven't read a lot. And as Abdul also mentioned earlier, the whole reading and writing aspect wasn't like, I did use a highlighter for my first time in college. I never used that in high school, and I feel like I'm happy with where I ended in high school, but I feel like I could have done better. I feel like I could have done better, and that's what I feel like I could change easily by just reading when my teacher told me to, and taking these notes and taking these steps to better instill knowledge on myself, and that in turn would have definitely helped me in some of the classes I'm taking here. I'm improving now, but if I would have done it in high school, then I could say college, the start of college would have been a little bit more comfortable.
Okay. John, how about you?
My junior year, I probably would have changed the first half because I had actually failed a class. So, failed half of the class. So, for me personally, I would have taken better initiative to work harder at it because it was a subject I couldn't get right away. Most things I could get right away, and then it would, I would be fine. But this one, I didn't work hard enough at it, and I would definitely go back and stay after class and work harder because I'm doing that now. Because senior year, it was really good because I learned those lessons. But yeah, I'm doing that in college too, so it's really helping me do better in college. I don't wait to do my work anymore. I always do it 2 or 3 days ahead. So if I had anything to change, it would probably go back to that first half of my junior year and work harder at it because I know I did not try my best at it. So,
Bridget, what do you think?
Well, I definitely had a busy junior and senior year. That's when I started IB, and that's when I was getting a little bit more serious with all my extracurriculars, and I was very involved in SGA. So, but that aspect I wouldn't give up. Like, I definitely would repeat that over again. But after my first semester in college, and after my 4-year plan, I realized how much chemistry I'd be taking. And I realized I didn't take any chemistry in high school. And so that's probably one thing that I would change. I had basic honors chem knowledge from 10th grade, and even though it probably would be very difficult to fit into my schedule, I probably would have taken AP Chem because after my first semester I realized having a background knowledge in the classes definitely helps. My entire bio class was my senior year of bio because it was like ecology and just pretty much the entire last part of the year. So if I would have had a broader knowledge of chemistry, then I think that would help me along further down the line in the rest of my college career. So just taking one more class, I guess, and fitting that in and trying to learn how to balance everything with a harder course load would help me in college too, especially.
So just deepening your background knowledge. And I think that's what I heard Lauren saying too, that having spent more time on the academic side would have helped her in her career choice as well. So, okay. Abdul, how about you?
I think what I did right was try and just engage myself in activities and classes where I thought that I might fail at. It's like sort of kept me on edge a little bit and made me perform a lot better. I guess it was really challenging, like being up on the board, for example. I had no idea what I was talking about the entire time, or just taking certain classes in fields that I was just not familiar with was really nice. I think the two things that I would change is that I would take a class or some extracurricular involved with music, because now everyone in my dorm like either plays the guitar or the piano, and I hear it and it sounds really nice, but it's a little like hearing a story and thinking it's really good and not being able to remember the story afterwards because you don't know what it was actually about. And then I guess the second thing I would change is attend more sports games, because nothing prepares you for being a crazy.
Have you painted your face yet?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then you have the whole college experience at Cameron Indoor Arena, so that's good. How about one of the others? Do you have something that you would do differently, or you good?
I think I would definitely not change getting involved in extracurriculars like volleyball and SGA and FBLA. Those all helped me and created so many friends. But I'm really struggling right now with note taking and time management, because in high school I used to think that copying down the entire chapter and like reading it 1,000 times would help me, but in college it's actually like making my grades worse, because I had to like teach myself how to outline and just take like the core lesson out of the topic, and it's been difficult because I'm just used to like copying everything down, and I'm not sure that you can get taught how to outline, but it was just hard to adjust because I'm so used to just copying everything down, rather than learning how, like, what I actually need. So, and you know, the professors don't tell you because it's like 100 people in the class. So I'm just like scrambling to see what I need, but I don't know. I would probably change that and just focus more on what I actually need to learn.
I'll ask you one more question, and then I'll let you offer a couple of last comments if you would like to. Did you have enough experience with technology?
Yeah.
To be successful in college? Do you have enough in Washington County?
I think so.
You did?
Because I used computers and, you know, like at the end iPads and stuff in almost all my classes because, I mean, well, in the more science classes you used a lot of really good technology for like chemistry, all different kinds of stuff, biology. And then in like my English and stuff, all of our papers, I mean, we were given, you know, either a laptop to work on or like go into the computer lab or something like that and had really nice computers to work on.
Okay.
And it showed us how to use like Microsoft, everything. You know what I mean? So we got to use
So
that.
beyond social media, which I'm sure all of you are pretty familiar with. I mean, you had the background experiences that you needed to be successful in college.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we had like we had the familiarity with the instruments, but to know when to use them, I think was a problem.
Yeah,
I can't read my own handwriting, and that was a big problem in college because it never was that bad in high school when I was taking notes, and then it was about a month in when I realized, like, oh snap, I can bring my laptop to class. I feel like if just a little more familiar, like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Because I want to take this moment just to thank you, not just for coming here and spending time with us today, but for the experience that you provided us as students here, because we think not only were you inspirational to some of your classmates, you will continue to provide that inspiration when they see you, you know, on Channel 99 and they realize that, you know, you're in New York City, you're making it there, that you're at Syracuse, you're doing great things there, you're at IU, you're at Duke, you're at the University of Maryland in the Honors College. Did I say that wrong?
No, I'm just saying, like, Duke and Maryland.
Yeah.
It's not a rivalry. I'm sorry.
You're sitting
For lack of that, the Big Ten.
Okay. That scares me a little bit. That you had kind of a non-traditional career path, and that you're now going on to college at McDaniels. Is that correct? Yeah. So that's great, and that you're making it in the Ivy League at Princeton, which is just terrific for, you know, a young person. So I want to thank you for that, because I really think that you have provided an inspiration. I want to thank you for your stories that you've shared with us, because I think, you know, as your contemporaries listen to you, it's going to have a lot more relevance than listening to an old guy like me talk to them about, you should have studied harder, you should have taken that one extra chemistry class, you should have taken a writing class. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to tell you that there will be other opportunities for you to stay engaged with us here in Washington County, and we hope that you'll accept those opportunities, and we hope that those who are watching this today will pay some attention to some of our public information announcements, because we hope to engage you, the students in this room right now, with a larger community over time. So thank you very much for your time, and now it's time to shut this down and move on to whatever life holds for you. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.